and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, today we're taking a look at what is going to be happening in 2024. We've seen a lot of movement within the opposition after a very long time. We've seen several contenders also actually happening. We have Rahul Gandhi, the perpetual contender. He's started off on a Bharat Jodo Yatra. Will this in a short span of time propel him as the face of the opposition? But apart from Rahul, there are other takers. There is, of course, Nitish Kumar, who's doing his Vipaks Jodo. He's done his rounds all over India. Really, he's come to Delhi. He's gone to meet Sharad Pawar. He's met all the opposition leaders. Can he emerge as the face of the opposition? We had Mamta Banerjee's failed attempt, and we also had KCR going down south, going to Bihar, meeting Nitish Kumar. We know KCR has his own ambitions. And of course, there is Arvind Kejriwal, who, at least if no one else's eyes, in his own eyes, he sees himself as a contender. To discuss this with me, joining me on the panel today is Pawan Verma. He's a former member of the Rajya Sabha with the JDU and a political columnist, commentator. Ashutosh, who was formerly with the Aam Aadmi Party, now he's the founder editor of satyahindi.com. We have Sanjay Kumar, psephologist with the CSDS, and Rashid Kidwai. He is an author of 24 Akbar Road and many other books on political leaders and a political commentator. Ashutosh, I'm going to begin with you because I heard one of your shows where you spoke very interestingly, where you said that, you were talking about JP movement, and you spoke about the fact that, we need a moral authority. What the opposition needs is a figure who can bring it all together. So, we have Rahul doing Bharat Jodo, we have Nitish doing Vipaks Jodo, we have KCR doing North-South Jodo, and we have Kejriwal saying Sab Mujhse Jodo. So who's going to be the Fevicol who's going to stick everybody together?
See, Priya, first of all, we have to understand that we are living in an exceptional time. And that's why we also start thinking exceptionally. Sometimes we get very cynical. Sometimes we lose our objectivity. And sometimes we are only expressing our own inner angst instead of analyzing objectively. I think that this, if one has to objectively analyze Bharat Jodo Yatra, at least Congress party has started something. And for the last 3 months, if you look at Congress party, they are on the streets. How much it is going to impact, the electoral system of this country, that's only the future can tell us. But at least almost 2 years before the elections, they've started doing it, and everybody was believing that they're not doing anything, just sitting idle and all that. There is a very definite and a positive movement in terms of opposition unity. Nitish Kumar has come out. Nitish Kumar has started meeting with all the opposition leaders, including the Arvind Kejriwal. So these are the positive signs. Then Mamta Banerjee has came out with a very positive statement in that sense, and she said that Nitish Kumar, Hemant Soren, and others, and he's also said categorically that 2024 it will be opposition versus BJP. So I think these are the sounds which shows that there is a serious concern in the opposition camp, and the serious concern is on the two fronts. First of all of them are worried that if BJP continues under Mr. Modi, then all of them either end up in jails or their party will be hijacked by the BJP. So all of them, including Mamta Banerjee, all of them are fighting an existential crisis for themselves, looking into the future. So second point is, I think all these opposition leaders, especially those who are not aligned with the BJP, and there are hardly anybody who's aligned with the BJP, the whole federal structure is almost on the verge of being demolished. And you remember what Stalin's lieutenant in the 2G case, I'm forgetting his name, he said that Raja had made a statement, which is very interesting statement, and I think it's a very frightening statement, when he said that our leader has chosen Anna Durai's path. Don't force us to take to the Periyar's path. And the Periyar's path was secession from India and forming a Dravid Nad. What the Mahua Moitra has said a few months back, that BJP should not impose North Indian Hindutva on us. And then Simranjit Singh Mann winning election in Sangrur. So these are the symbols that there is a definite serious anxiety in the opposition camps, especially amongst those regional identities. They are feeling threatened by this overlapping and very intrusive Hindutva, and they are feeling very uncomfortable with them. The way Uddhav Thackeray has been pushed to the corner, and the party has almost been hijacked by BJP and others. That also put a question mark about the anxiety within the Marathi Asmita. So I think if you put all this together, there is a definite movement. It's a positive movement. And the BJP, if not should be worried, at least BJP should be concerned. And because the history shows whenever there's opposition unity, there is a definite opposition unity, like in 67, 77, 89. Even the most hegemonic party like the Congress party had to drop 4 to 10% vote share in that sense. So I think BJP and Narendra Modi are very smart people, and they know that what does this opposition unity means.
Pawan, but who will be face of? There is a need. Opposition knows there's a need for opposition unity. But who will be the face of that unity? Your old colleague Nitish Kumar. What is he up to? You think he can be that face?
He has denied it publicly that he's not aspiring to be PM.
But there's always a but.
But I'll tell you, if there is a sure magic bullet to try and break the attempts at opposition unity, it is to ask right at the beginning who is the face, which is precisely what the BJP does. Of course, right now there is no face. And let me say, I'm always perennially hopeful, echoing what Ashutosh said. But at this stage, unless the opposition qualitatively changes its approach, I'm not an optimist. First of all, they have begun this process too late. Leaders are also, I'm afraid, speaking of a larger unity, but from the vantage point of strengthening their own position in the silos that they are. So, when I say unity, this arithmetical unity is of little use. How many times opposition leaders have all gathered on one stage? And in fact, it suits the BJP to have a narrative where it is BJP versus all. And if it is only that, no one in this country, I believe, would easily opt for a khichdi government where people are squabbling, etc. So what the opposition needs is not arithmetic unity. It needs an organic unity, which means you come to a decision on a common minimum program. These are the issues we will collectively raise. Going beyond that, you work out the strategy on the ground that wherever possible, there will be one opposition candidate fielded against the BJP. Because if there are three, thirdly, I think until 2024, at least, there should be a moratorium on believing that my interests are larger than the collective interest of the opposition. So, I have a situation where if the AAP is accused for corruption, almost more than the BJP, almost the Congress is attacking AAP. Now, in West Bengal, you had a situation which is, I was talking to some senior Congress leaders and they agreed with me, they found it inexplicable that here is Mamta, the principal opponent to the BJP, and the Congress and the CPIM are cutting the TMC's votes. Here you have a situation in Telangana. KCR G is trying very hard to bring together the opposition, but he speaks of a non-Congress, non-BJP. So he eliminates the Congress. Now, I'm saying if these undercurrents continue to retain their prominence, then it's very difficult in the time available to forge a national democratic front. And therefore, sometimes I'm reminded, I'll end with this, that of the old fable in the Panchatantra of a frog caught in the mouth of a snake trying to catch an insect. So if that is the approach, and if the opposition cannot understand who the real democratic opponent is, and why the objective circumstances say they must all come together in a cohesive, organized, strategic, planned manner, both at the level of ideology and on the ground. I don't see at this moment, I don't in any way downplay the efforts, but I have yet to see more evidence.
I think you look at the players involved. If you look at the personalities, let's leave aside Rahul for a minute. Look at Nitish Kumar, look at Arvind Kejriwal and KCR. Of the three, who has the wider pan-India appeal?
Very,
Sanjay.
very. You took three names. If I go by the people's perception, I think I'm very clear about when I look at the survey data and look at how people are looking at these three leaders, it is Arvind Kejriwal. It's not KCR, it's not Nitish Kumar, it's not Mamata Banerjee, and we can keep taking names of few other leaders. None of them have a pan-India appeal, or none of them are being looked forward as a challenger to Narendra Modi at the national level. Yes, the disadvantage with Arvind Kejriwal is that his party is doesn't have a single MP in the Lok Sabha. His party is only the ruling party in two small states, Delhi and Punjab. But if you go by the people's perception, if you ask 10 people, cross sections of people, 8 out of 10 people, and the question is very simple: who do you think is most suited to challenge Narendra Modi at the national level? 8 out of 10 people are ready to take the name of Arvind Kejriwal. So if I go by that people's perception, I think it's very clear to me that it is Arvind Kejriwal whom people see as the possible challenger to Narendra Modi at national level.
One quick follow-up. If I add Rahul Gandhi's name to this, will your answer still be the same?
This is an open-ended question. I'm not adding anybody's name. Even if you add anybody else's name, if you give the menu, Rahul Gandhi, it doesn't make any difference. Arvind Kejriwal still leads the race in people's eye, that this is the man who can challenge Narendra Modi at the national level in 2024.
Rashid, your take on these names, of the 3 or 4 names, who is the best suited to not just face Narendra Modi, but bring all the opposition together also?
Yeah, so Priya, I think Pawanji and Ashutosh, they have given very, compelling and cogent arguments for all these things. Fact is, as a journalist, I see that it's a very good doctrine of necessity is going to determine everything what happens in 2024. From the look of it, it doesn't look like, Priya, it's not a Congress story. 2024 is not a Congress election unless the Congress is able to, cross 100 Lok Sabha seats. So it is the outcome that is going to determine who will come in. The question of common minimum program and all, it will be sorted out, within 24 hours, literally. We have seen, we keep talking, and it's not without reason, we keep talking about face, because we have become a very kind of American presidential kind of election. But in 1977, there was no face. In 1989, there was no face. In 1991, after Rajiv Gandhi assassination, there was no face. In 96, there was no face. And in 2004 also, there was no face. But the faces emerge. It becomes a one number. And that's where I think it is very fashionable to talk about, and people also talk and they give TV response. So about Arvind Kejriwal, but I think it will come to numbers. And if the non-opposition parties can get 150 and Congress can get 100 plus, then, there is a thing. So there is no way to beat Narendra Modi as of now, but just to reduce his number. If the BJP is 200 seats, I think they're in big trouble because of ED and, CBI misadventures, income tax. Nobody's going to look at them as a potential ally.
Okay, I'm going to take a break, and I know all the panelists have cautioned against talking about faces, but I still would like to know, who will be going to face the prime mover, who will bring everybody together, maybe as the UPA chief or whatever the collection is going to be called, who will play that role, because someone has to play the role of herding all the parties together. After a quick break. Hello and welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We are here taking a look at the opposition and who is going to assume the leadership of the opposition. Ashutosh, you heard what Sanjay said about Arvind Kejriwal. I mean, you also said that pan-India to appeal hai, chahe party nahi hai, but he has a pan-India appeal. He has the drive also. Nitish Kumar, I don't know how much of a drive he has. So the names are shortening down to this. And I was very interested to see KCR's coming to Bihar and speaking Shuddh Hindi. Pranab Mukherjee always said, "Main PM nahi ban saka because I couldn't speak Hindi." KCR speaks great Hindi, so why not him also? He can unite the North and the South.
See, I think let me answer your questions by one caveat. I think it's a BJP's agenda that BJP wants that there should be a face in the opposition, and that's why BJP always put this question mark and always say, "Who's your leader? Who's your leader?" Ask BJP, who was the leader in Delhi elections? Who was the leader in Jharkhand? Who was the leader in Haryana? Nobody. So I think it's a BJP will definitely put this question mark to opposition. And I think the bigger question today is I think we have to understand, and that's why my answer lies. We have to understand that in 2014, a hegemony of Congress party for the 67 years was replaced by another hegemony. So if we believe that the hegemony of the BJP will be replaced in another 20 years or 30 years, I think that we are living in some other world. But since we are living in the technological age, we are living in the TV age, and where everything is instant. So we want to believe that by 2024, Modi should be replaced and BJP should shrink to somewhere like 20 seats or the 40 seats, which is not going to happen. It's a process. The process will take its own time. Like the entire process took 67 years where the Congress hegemony was replaced. It started in 1989, and then still they had a government for 16 years. So that's the point about it. The point number 3 is that when we're talking about the faces, Arvind Kejriwal till now has not a single member of parliament in Lok Sabha. It's such an ironical situation, such a dichotomous situation that in Delhi, where he got 67 seats and 62 seats, he could not win a single seat in Delhi. So even if it's a popular, how does it matter? It's like a notional money. I believe that this is with me in my pocket, but that money is not there. So unless he ensure that he can win at least 3 seats out of 7 seats in Delhi, I do not see him anywhere leading the opposition. Secondly, Arvind Kejriwal will be the biggest disaster if he was ever asked to lead opposition. It is not in his nature to lead a coalition. He cannot do that. He's not Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He's even in that sense. He is even not even Modi also. So Nitish Kumar is ideally placed for the simple reason because all the opposition, because of his seniority, because of he carries certain amount of integrity. अरविंद केजरीवाल के साथ प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि लोग उनको बहुत ज्यादा चतुर मानते हैं. नीतीश भी चतुर है, बट नीतीश के साथ ये कि if he carries that cleverness, shrewdness, still he commands respect in the opposition camp. Arvind Kejriwal has 2 governments in the 2 states and trying for 3rd in Gujarat, which is in my sense is almost impossible. He does not carry that kind of respect within the opposition camp. You talk to any top leader in the opposition camp, you'll get to realize how much respect he commands among them. So that's why Nitish Kumar is pivot. Nitish Kumar is the one person who should be observed. He should be watched for 2024, and it is only one who can put everybody together, can create a coalition of opposition leaders without any face. Giving a face to this coalition will be as disaster as anything else.
Out of the 3, who can best bring everybody together, Pawan? KCR, Nitish Kumar, and Arvind Kejriwal? Or is Kejriwal a Bitcoin leader?
I did not want to name a specific person.
Look at the
But
character
then since,
plus points.
Ashutosh has come out categorically with his point of view, I can say that I don't disagree with him. For the simple reason that when in 2012 I resigned from the Foreign Service, I chose, although there were invitations from the BJP and Congress also, to join Nitish Kumar. Because as Ashutosh put it, the personal integrity, the administrative record, stature, he had the potential of becoming one of the prime contenders for the top executive post. Well, we are aware that there were some deviations from that goal by his choices that he made, but now he's out of it. And I think he's beginning this term quite proactively. He had come to Delhi, he met the entire range and gamut. Now, just to be seen in the time available, what can be achieved. Because by this time, people have announced their own journey. Arvind Kejriwal, the AAP says it is not interested in the coalition politics. They believe they must go it alone with the idea of a new India. That's the favorite phrase these days. So He is pursuing his own line. And we have a situation where most leaders are so besieged in their own. I mean, look at the case of Mamata Banerjee, a fiery leader, gutsy leader, grassroots leader. She's hemmed in today by the BJP. I believe after the recent, alleged corruption scams, there has been a dip of almost 8 percentage points in her popular support. Now, this doesn't matter at this stage because the elections are still some time away and she has shown her ability to reinvigorate herself and the party and give a good fight. I'm just saying, people are so besieged in protecting what they have that for them to invest in a larger picture requires a great effort. If Nitish ji can inspire the others or any other leader can inspire them to do so in their own self-interest and the interest of the nation, well and good. But if not, I'm afraid the picture is not as optimistic as some people want to believe.
Who can improve the picture for the opposition, Sanjay ji? Ashutosh is not very convinced with your Kejriwal. He's saying he's just not real currency as yet.
No, when I mentioned about Arvind Kejriwal, I was not saying that whether he is best suited to become the Prime Minister or best suited to be the challenger to Narendra Modi in 2024. I was mentioning how people, common people of this country, look upon Arvind Kejriwal. Yes, there are difficulties. I did mention in my previous statement that Aam Aadmi Party doesn't have a single member in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha. So there are difficulties, and when we talk about the ability of a leader to bring everyone together, and that's the key for putting up any kind of a challenge to BJP in 2024, all the opposition parties needs to come together. And in that, I think, yes, I would fully agree with what Ashutosh has already mentioned. The ability of Nitish Kumar and the ability of Arvind Kejriwal in bringing together leaders of various opposition parties, there's a huge difference in that. So we will keep talking about who is best suited to lead the opposition, etc. But when it comes to, there are two aspects of that. When it comes to bringing leaders on the same table, bringing leaders of opposition parties on the same table, having a conversation with them, I think certainly Nitish Kumar is far ahead compared to Arvind Kejriwal. But if I go by, still I would again mention that if you go by people's perception, because we should also remember Nitish Kumar's popularity is not the same now as it was in 2013. His popularity has shown a lot of dip, while Arvind Kejriwal's popularity is on the rise. So people's opinion, people look at Arvind Kejriwal as the future leader, as the leader who can possibly challenge Narendra Modi. But when we talk about the leader who can bring all the parties on one table, they can enable all the parties to have a conversation. Certainly, Nitish Kumar is better suited than Arvind Kejriwal.
There are two different roles, really. Ashutosh, you wanted to come in, then I'll go to Rashid.
I just want to say one very small intervention. I just want to say the opposition needs a leader and opposition also needs a stabilizer. Nitish Kumar is a stabilizer. Mamata Banerjee is a leader in her own right. But can she put everybody together? Arvind Kejriwal is a great leader, but can he put together? No. That's why we need a stabilizer. Like I said, we need opposition right now needs an Harkishan Singh Surjit, who can put everybody together, who can take our Amar Singh and push him to the 2004 Congress. Now you have to support them, something like that. I think Nitish commands that kind of respect, and that's his role is. But within that pack, if he could become a leader also, I think that's something which has to be seen in the future.
That's true. We need a Harkishan Singh Surjit, Rashid, and we need a face to take on Modi. But first, we need the Harkishan Singh Surjit.
I think my friend Ashutosh, he keeps, he has got some kind of nostalgia. Politics doesn't work. Koi lauta de mere dil. Wo dil laut ke nahi aate. We must understand this. And I am saying this, if you look at again, example of 77, 89, 91, 96, 2004, there was always, most of the time, a non-contender became. In 89, it went to Devilal handed it over to VP Singh. In 77, it came to Morarji Bhai. Nobody wanted Morarji Bhai actually from that Janata Party Parivar. So, that nobody wanted Devegowda, nobody wanted Gujral. All these people became because they were non-contender. If BJP is really short, if NDA, BJP end up 230 seats or so, Lok Sabha seats, I see a possibility of somebody from the NDA coming in with a group of 50, 60 or so and becoming, providing a kind of strength to it. That may also lead to it. So while I agree with Mr. Nitish Kumar's candidature is from among all these people, he is the strongest, but unlikely. I would say it will be a non-contender in 2024 that you would see if there is a vacancy.
On that note, we've seen at least we're having some interesting conversations around the opposition and not just, saying that there is no hope. There is a sliver of hope, at least, and we hope that this turns into an optimism, or else otherwise, as Pawan Verma said, there is going to be a walkover for the BJP. And on that note, I'm going to end this show. Thank you so much for watching it.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.